The budget presented by the Minister of Finance, who also happens to be the President, is ending today the second reading debate. I have consistently recorded my opposition to Minister of Finance being the President. From 2010 onwards in this House, whenever the President in his capacity has presented a budget, I have recorded that protest, and I wish to record that today as well. When a person who is not a member of this House presents the budget or is the Minister of Finance, that seriously curtails this House's ability to be in total control of public finance as the Constitution stipulates in Article 148. This also exposes another thing this time, and that is there is a 21st Amendment to the Constitution that was brought, said to be going back to the 19th Amendment, that is doing away with the 20th Amendment. And as we pointed out during that debate, it doesn't really do that. Under the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, the President could not hold any ministries, not even the Ministry of Defense. For the tenure of that President at that time, personal to him, to President Maithripala Sirisena, 3 named ministries were permitted in the transitional provision. Thereafter, the President could not hold any ministries. But now, the President actually can hold any number of ministries. In fact, he can hold all the ministries. So this is another occasion on which we can expose that lie to the country, that some reform was made, that executive powers were curtailed through the 21st Amendment. No such thing was done. Even the one positive thing that is being touted is the re-establishment of the Constitutional Council. That also we pointed out. He is a political body. He is not the 17th Amendment Constitutional Council. More members are from this House, which makes it political. And that body is tasked with the appointment of, amongst others, independent commissions. And in the last couple of days, we found how the supposed independent commission chairman have behaved. We saw the National Police Commission chairman going to the VIP lounge to receive a person who was chased out of this country for fraud, for large-scale corruption. And who else but the chairman of the National Police Commission is there, bowing in two and welcoming him back. A few days before that, we heard the chairman of the Office of Missing Persons saying that only a few people went missing and all of them are living abroad. Now that very office was established to investigate missing persons. And the government commissions, there are many. All of those commissions have reported that over 20,000 people have gone missing. That's a conservative number. And the chairman of the office that is appointed, supposedly an independent office, says nobody has gone missing. And then the Honorable Minister of Justice explains and says, no, he is wrong because he has not understood the government's priority. The government has prioritized reconciliation measures which must deal with the issue of disappearance also, and unfortunately this chairman does not seem to know that. So that creates another problem. Why should an independent office chairman know what the government's priorities are if he is independent? Why should he comply with what the government wants to do today? The government will not want to do that tomorrow. Government changes its mind day to day. But if this is an independent office, he has been tasked by law to make investigations into the several tens of thousands of disappearances in the country, and this is what he says. So, this 21st Amendment was just an eyewash, really did not make anything independent in this country, nor did it strip the president of any executive powers. That said, let me turn to the budget proposals. See, I want to concentrate on one matter, and that is with regard to the EPF. EPF is Sri Lanka's single largest fund. This fund has been dipped into, and there are serious allegations of fraud and corruption in the way investments have been made out of this fund. There have been 5 forensic audits conducted, but no action has been taken to date. The last annual report of this fund is 2016. Forensic audits have revealed massive frauds into earnings and savings by the working force of this country, and not a muscle has been moved. Nothing to date has happened with regard to taking action on this. I'm highlighting this because the economic crisis that we are facing in this country is primarily due to corruption. Primarily due to corruption. And that is why the IMF in its report said there are corruption susceptibilities, and that is one of the challenges for the IMF implementing its program in this country. The president or the finance minister in his budget speech said that that will be dealt with, corruption issues. But where? Nothing has been done. The other issue is with regard to the Office of the Attorney General, who advises the government, who appears on behalf of the government, who defends the government even when the Right to Information Commission orders the central bank to divulge certain information. The central bank appeals and the Attorney General appears. Now these are public funds. These are monies of the people of this country. There is absolutely no transparency. Evidently large-scale corruption and fraud, and all that is covered up by the government, by the central bank, by the EPF, and the Attorney General gives absolute sanction to cover it up. Now, with that background, how do we get out of this economic crisis? The government pays lip service, but every action of the government says the opposite, demonstrates the opposite. Earlier this morning, Honorable Kumar Sanayaka cited the case of a minister who asked an ambassador for a bribe. That was reported. He was suspended from the cabinet and he got a committee of his choice appointed, which exonerated him, and he is back in the cabinet. Now, to add insult to injury, that very minister has been appointed as the president's nominee on the Constitutional Council. Constitutional Council, which is supposed to appoint independent commissions. Handpicked, because there is no one who's up to that mark in the cabinet. No, who has the brass to go and ask an ambassador for a bribe. I suppose the other ministers are a little less corrupt. So you have to pick the most corrupt to appoint to the Constitutional Council. You have a convicted extortionist as the chief government whip. A convicted extortionist. So, how do we then tell either the IMF or anyone else that we are dealing with corruption? The government has really no intention of doing any of that sort. The president has no intention. These are president's appointments. So you say one thing, but you do just the opposite. There is a book written by V.P. Vitachi, a small blue color book I have read some time ago, on President Jayawardena's conduct. It's called Sri Lanka, What Went Wrong. And Mr. Vitaji coins a word and calls it plonking. Plonking. He says, President Jayawardena will say, I am turning right. This is the right way to go. I am turning right now. And he will turn left. All the time insisting, while traveling left, he will all the time insist, no, I am traveling right. That is plonking. Now, the incumbent president learnt his political lessons from President Jayawardena. And one wonders whether that is what he is now practicing. Saying we are dealing with corruption, but doing the very opposite to what will eradicate corruption. The Tamil National Alliance Parliamentary Group met today and we took certain decisions with regard to this budget. We have highlighted various shortcomings, matters that are contrary to the well-being of this country, particularly the high percentage of allocations to the defense sector. The country's economy is contracting. Various fundamental service sectors,
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, are contracting, are reducing. Whilst in the last 2 years, the allocation to the defense sector has increased by 12%. 12%. Now, this is not just salaries and recurrent expenditure that is necessary. You must only go visit one of the camps to see the high life that goes on there. To test it out, a few days ago, I went with the president and had lunch at the Vaunia Air Force camp. The lunch is of a standard that's higher than what you can get in a 7-star hotel. Nothing has come down. No one wants to touch that. The ceramic ware, the food, everything. Nobody wants to touch that. You're telling the country, reduce. 70% of our people have dropped one meal. 50,000 children are in danger of malnutrition. Government might deny it, but those are the real facts. And you want to keep the military happy. You don't want to upset them. So that you can suppress dissent. So that you can suppress people who protest that they don't have food to eat. Now, all of this is there, and at a time like this, one would have expected a program through this budget to lift this country out of the economic crisis, and that is not there. So we are opposed to this budget. But for one reason, we took a decision today not to cast our vote in opposition. I'm concluding.
Honorable Member, please
And
wind up.
yes, that is due to the reason that the President has in the last couple of days repeatedly said that he is taking steps to resolve the long-standing Tamil national question. Although we are skeptical, it's not because we trust it, but we don't want to be blamed for opposing a president when he says, I want to solve this, come let's sit down and talk.
Please wind
So
up.
for that very reason, we will today not cast our vote against this budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much.